What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, we have some very, very interesting, unfortunate news as WBC World Boxing Council President Mauricio Sulaiman has all but denounced undefeated WBC lightweight world champion superstar boxer Devin the Dream Haney as his champion. Devin Haney, who is 27 wins, no losses, no draws, 15 wins by way of knockout, 23 years of age, 5'8" with a 72-inch arm reach. Devin Haney, he's coming off of a big victory against former IBF super featherweight world champion, Mexican superstar boxer Joseph Jojo Diaz, in which Devin Haney, he outclassed Joseph Diaz. He outboxed him. He won a unanimous decision against Joseph Jojo Diaz, okay? With that said, prior to Devin Haney fight with Joseph Jojo Diaz, there was another big fight that took place the previous Saturday, okay, November 27th, which saw former unified lightweight world champion superstar boxer Teofimo Lopez take on Australian star boxer, who was his IBF mandatory challenger and undefeated George Kambosos Jr. With that said, Teofimo Lopez shockingly lost a split decision to George Kambosos Jr. George Kambosos Jr., he dropped Teofimo Lopez in the first round, and then he continued to outbox Teofimo Lopez throughout the duration of the fight. But in the 10th round, he was dropped, and then he closed the show in the 11th and 12th round like he's supposed to, and he got the victory over Teofimo Lopez and shocked the world. With that said, Mauricio Sulaiman, he was asked about George Kambosos Jr. being the lightweight undisputed champion, and he says that George Kambosos Jr. deserves to be considered the lightweight undisputed champion, okay? And that Devin Haney is now a Pride WBC champion, not a franchise champion, not a regular champion, not a super champion, but a Pride champion is what Devin Haney is currently, according to Mauricio Sulaiman. Now, what's interesting is the week of the fight for Devin Haney and Joseph Jojo Diaz, no representatives for the WBC were there until the day of the fight, okay, is when Mauricio Sulaiman showed up for the Devin Haney's fight to show they have a lack of interest in supporting Devin Haney, okay? And so we know the history of the WBC, but there's even more confusion because you see two-time Olympic gold medalist, three-division world champion, former unified lightweight world champion, or Ukrainian superstar boxer Vasyl High-Tech Lomachenko. He fought Olympic gold medalist, British superstar lightweight title contender Luke Campbell for the vacant WBC title that was vacated by four-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer Mikey Garcia, who dared to be great, moved up to challenge undefeated unified welterweight world champion superstar boxer who's widely considered by many to be the best top 3 pound-for-pound fighters in the world in Earl the True Spence Jr. So he vacated his WBC title. Initially, what's not being told is Devin Haney was supposed to face off against Luke Campbell for that vacant WBC title. But when Vasyl Lomachenko and his legendary promoter, top-ranked CEO and promoter Bob Arum and ESPN showed up on the scene, the WBC obliged them and allowed them to fight Luke Campbell for the vacant WBC title, which Devin Haney thought that he was going to face the winner of that fight. But Bob Arum, as he stated ahead of that fight, when he told Matchroom CEO and promoter Eddie Hearn, who co-promotes and works with Devin Haney, DHP, Devin Haney Promotional Father, Trainer, and Manager Bill Haney, okay, as he works with them, Bob Arum told them ahead of the fight that Devin Haney's not going to get an opportunity to fight the winner of this fight, especially if it's his fighter in Lomachenko, because Devin Haney, well, he signed with the wrong promotional company. If he was signed with them, he would get the opportunity. But since he didn't sign with them, he's not going to get the opportunity. So they're going to petition the WBC, President Mauricio Sulaiman, and the board of 32 members to be franchised. Now, keep in mind, just a few months prior, we saw four-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer Saul Canelo Alvarez franchised, so he didn't have to honor his mandatory challenge in two-division world champion undefeated middleweight superstar boxer Jamal Lyons Only Charlo. That was the first time the franchise title was introduced to the sport of boxing. And so with that said, he was franchised. The WBC stated that Vasyl Lomachenko, Bob Arum petitioned for them to be franchised should he be victorious, and they obliged him. And then Devin Haney, he fought for the vacant WBC title, okay? And he was elevated to the champion, a la same way Jamal Charlo was elevated to the WBC champion when Canelo Alvarez was franchised. The difference is Lomachenko stayed in the division and Canelo Alvarez didn't. So the WBC initially stated you cannot win or lose the WBC franchise title. It is, in a sense, a trophy. The other sanction bodies, they don't recognize or acknowledge the WBC franchise title, okay? So follow me now. Lomachenko becomes the franchise champion. He loses the belt to Teofimo Lopez, who, according to the WBC, petitioned the WBC to be franchised. But Teofimo Lopez and his team, his father training manager, Teofimo Lopez Sr., they stated the WBC approached them about being franchised. Nonetheless, he beat Vasyl Lomachenko, became the unified lightweight champion, but the WBC obliged him and allowed him to become the WBC franchise champion, okay? So he's not the undisputed champion. Now, Mauricio Sulaiman is on record saying Teofimo Lopez is not the undisputed champion because Devin Haney's the WBC champion. He's the unified champion and the franchise champion, okay? Now, here's where it gets even more tricky. Now, Teofimo Lopez's first title defenses is against George Kambosos Jr. Now, keep this in mind. Mauricio Sulaiman, he states that you have to petition the WBC to be franchised. How do you know that? Because in this same interview that he says that Devin Haney is a pride champion, not the WBC champion, the undisputed champion is George Kambosos Jr. Now, keep this in mind. He also doubles back and says, hold on, before he finishes that sentence and before he moves on to anything else, he says, let me finish up. Devin Haney at the post-fight press conference stated that he want nothing to do with the franchise title. And he says that's good because the franchise is only given to the fighter who petitions for it, right? Well, George Kambosos Jr. states that he never petitioned for the franchise title. So if he never petitioned for the franchise title, and George Kambosos Jr. is on record after the fight saying that he knows he has to go through Devin Haney to officially become the undisputed lightweight champion, and that's a fight he wants, but he wants the fight to take place in Australia because he owes his just dues to do that because of the work he's put in overseas. So he says that he knows he's the franchise champion by default, but he didn't petition for the franchise belt. So if George Kambosos Jr., just like Mauricio Sulaiman just stated, it's not given to you. You have to petition. So if George Kambosos fought Devin Haney and Devin Haney beats George Kambosos Jr., Devin Haney won't be the franchise champion because, like Mauricio Sulaiman just stated, you have to petition to be franchised. So George Kambosos Jr. stated that he didn't petition for it. It was just given to him. More confusion. But Mauricio Sulaiman, he highlighted by saying he wanted to clarify. Well, this is not clarification. This is more confusion. Because if he stated that it's good that Devin Haney doesn't want the franchise title because he had to petition for it, we don't give it to him, then how could you consider George Kambosos Jr. the undisputed champion when George Kambosos Jr. stated he never petitioned for it, you indeed gave it to him? So don't he have to petition to be the franchise champion according to your rule book? Well, we know the rules continue to change as you go because initially the rules were you can't win or lose the franchise title because it's not a title, it's a trophy. Thus, the reason why the IBF, the WBO, WBA don't recognize, and the Ring Magazine, they don't recognize the WBC franchise title. Thus, the reason why in history, there's only 6 undisputed champions to hold all 4 major sanction belts in history. Number 1 was Bernard Hopkins. Number 2 was Jermaine Taylor, who beat Bernard Hopkins to become number 2. Number 3 is Terrence Bud Crawford at junior welterweight. Number 4 was Alexander Usyk at cruiserweight. Number 5 was Josh Taylor at junior welterweight. And number 6, who we know we celebrated as the 6th undisputed champion in the history of sport of boxing and the first fighter to become undisputed at super middleweight. And that would be none other than Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is happy to let the world know he's the 6th undisputed champion in history of sport of boxing. So if there was a case where the other sanction bodies and the boxing world acknowledged the franchise title, well, then Canelo Alvarez wouldn't be number 6. He would indeed be number 7. And George Kambosos Jr. would be number 8. Because Teofimo Lopez would be number 6. Because he beat Vasyl Lomachenko before Canelo Alvarez beat Caleb Plant at super middleweight. So therefore, he is not the undisputed champion, neither is George Kambosos Jr., because he would be considered the 8th champion in history. And if you look at any major outlet, any credible major outlet, they don't recognize more than 6 champions to hold all 4 major sanction bouts in the Ring magazine. But nonetheless, the WBC decides to discredit and disrespect Devin Haney by stating that he is a Pride champion. What is a Pride champion? They're making this up as they go, and we need to do away with these sanction belts in the sport of boxing. As you can see in my interview, go back and watch my interview with Mauricio Sulaiman. He got very frustrated when I was asking him a question about the confusion of the franchise title, and he stopped answering the questions because it's all about as much revenue they could garner as possible and create more confusion, as much confusion as possible. So here you have Mauricio Sulaiman stating that George Kambosos needs to be acknowledged as the undisputed champion when he has a champion right here on U.S. soil in Devin Haney, who's looking to fight the absolute best that there is to offer. He's not talking about a fight signed with the wrong promotional company. Amazing. So that's all I got for y'all. Let's see what Devin Haney does moving forward. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Raw. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Oh, it is your boy Jada Kiss. Make sure you check out Blue Blood Sports TV. It's going down.